Hi, how are you? This is Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, and this is the Mindfully Integrative Show. And today we have an amazing guest. This is Dr. Kelly Kessler. She is a physical therapist and she specializes in chronic pain and helping those with eating disorders. She is a mom and a physical therapist, as I said, and she's here to kind of talk to her voice and opinion and view in integrative health and how she kind of transitioned. So, hi, how are you? How's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to having this chat.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time and your knowledge that people need
Absolutely.
to know more about you.
Yes. So thank you for the
Yeah,
introduction. So
so let's
yes, I am.
know
I
a
am
quick fact. I always say the fun facts for everybody. So, what's a little fun fact people may not know about you?
that's trying to think. I have done 5 half marathons and
Ooh,
5 triathlons, and
my.
I've played field hockey throughout like my whole adult life. So
Oh
I've
my goodness.
yeah.
I
So
tried field hockey when I was in high school. I,
mhm.
I think I was like an epic fail. I was more of a runner.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
I've done only like I used to be pretty athletic and then I like
Mhm.
slowly transitioned out. But that's great,
Yeah.
triathletes and so you're definitely a high achiever.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I did
Are
my
you
last
still
one last
physically
year.
active like that, even with little ones? You said your mom too. You still doing that?
Yeah. So I've took a little time off obviously when he was little, and then got right back into it. And I did a triathlon last year, and I'm pregnant now, so I can't do it right now, but
Okay.
my plan is to get back into it after I have this one.
Oh wow, congrats. I wish I
Thanks.
sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get motivated. I'm gonna get
Mhm.
motivated to do that.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. Yeah, it's definitely a commitment for sure. So we'll
Yeah,
see
I
how it
can
is with
barely
2
get
kids.
my workouts in daily. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You do what you can. That's
That's
awesome.
exactly. Yep, that's it.
So let's talk about you and kind of like your physical therapy journey or just, in general before that. Like you obviously went into physical therapy, to help people and what exactly kind of transitioned you? Like what you're a physical therapist now, but what was it before that? Before you went into the healthcare field, you're like, all right, I want to go into health and help people. What happened? And then when did you transition into something else?
Sure. Yeah. So I got my undergrad in exercise science. I've always been involved and interested in the human body and what it's capable of, and very more general when it was my bachelor's, and then later on went into my master's, and I got a master's in kinesiology and sports psychology. So I'm really interested in the mind and body connection. I've
Or
always been fascinated with, how can we optimize what we're doing, whether it's athletics or just generalized health. So that's always been very interesting to me. And particularly, I did a lot of research then on eating disorders and how the uh, behaviors of eating disorders then relate to compulsive exercise. So that was really what I focused on there. And that's very interesting to me because I've had a personal struggle with that. So that's always been very fascinating to me. And I worked in the field for quite some time, did some personal training, coaching,
oh,
a whole bunch of different things, and exercise physiologist. And it just didn't really kind of hit for me. So then I
mhm.
decided to go back and get my doctorate in physical therapy. And that really allowed me to have just a very holistic approach as far as the human body and understand it even further. So um, I worked in the corporate world for several years
Yeah.
and did that full time for a while. And then again, just didn't feel quite where I needed to be. And
Mhm.
so I opened my own practice in 2020 and really have, dove into it. And now my what I do now is I help women who have had a history of eating disorders but still have residual physical effects, chronic pain, anything that's going on in their body. I help them learn how to regulate their nervous system and achieve relief from that. So that's
That's
where
so
I'm at now.
important.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks. Yeah, it's been wonderful. And like I said, I had my own personal struggle with an eating disorder and chronic back pain. So it's been amazing to even just see my own journey from where I was in a really tough place to now being able to help people who are in that place.
I mean, that takes a lot of courage and that a lot of like, sitting with your stuff and your things to kind of overcome. And that's important. And then, now you're trying to change the perspective of others or not even change perspective, just help them grow from where they're at.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, because, like I said, when I was going through that, you get into a place where you're questioning, is there hope to ever have a better existence? Is this, I was going through that in my 20s, and I'm like, if I'm experiencing all this in my 20s, what does my future hold? And I remember just sitting on that and really feeling very sad that, I felt like there was no hope to ever progress and get better and have a good quality of life and do all the things I enjoy and want to eventually have, like have a family and everything. And so I remember being in that place where I was questioning if I could ever improve. And now looking back, it's an amazing journey where I'm like, wow, there is so much hope. And if I can instill that in people who maybe are where I was, 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
that's really what I want to do.
That's hope is a big word, and it's like it's something people need, to hear or be part of, because they feel hopeless, or they feel tired or alone, right? And you're
Right.
trying to kind of guide them, be like, you're not alone,
Hmm.
things in that nature, especially with eating disorders, what control, not control, a lot of
Hmm.
issues with that. So there's a lot of underlying things that come up with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And hope is just the belief in that there's a possibility of change. And that's really what it is, because I think especially with the clientele I work with, eating disorders and chronic pain, they've been through the medical gamut, and they've
Oh, for
had a
sure.
lot of things that have, quote unquote failed or didn't work for them or have not given them a relief. So a lot of them are in tough places where they feel like, is there hope? And so it's really important to again reinstill that.
Yeah, I do a lot of work in the stress transformation, like the stress
Mhm.
transformation. I call it more in that
Mhm.
sense, and then the trauma area. And I feel like there's a
Yeah.
lot of patterns of pain, and
Mhm.
it's that constant conversation of trying to get people to change that pattern and work on some of it. And I can relate to you. It can be quite challenging how our body holds on a lot of it.
Absolutely.
How what has been your like any like clients or that you've had recently that have been like changed significantly, or that you kind of help prolong, help them?
Yeah, so I have a one woman. I'm not currently working with her, but I worked with her in the past, and she had about four autoimmune disorders that kind of
Mm.
were sparked up after a slew of different things that happened in her life. And she was a very productive person, had her own business and everything. And then after that, it really took a toll on her. So she couldn't do what she was doing physically, in extreme pain, having difficulty even just standing, walking, doing daily activities. And she's not older, she's a younger woman. And so worked with her, and she's just come so far in her mindset in that, because when I first started with her, she was just in a really tough place, thinking like,
Hmm.
I'll never ever get better. I've never had relief. I've done, she could list probably for hours everything she's been through that didn't really work out for her or made her feel worse. So for her, it was a big transition where she started having trouble just doing one stand from a chair, and she ended up doing multiple and being able to walk around her house and having relief from pain in many moments, and more consistent relief from pain. So she's come quite a long way from where she was. Not that she's 100% healed and cured and everything. It's
Right.
not realistic there, but the amazing thing is that she has the tools that she needs now for when she has flare-ups and she has difficult times. She knows exactly what she needs to do, and she's just so much more empowered in her own responsibility and ability to heal and help herself. That's
Well,
really, I think, the most amazing thing.
that's important. That's
Hmm.
so important. I feel like people really do need to kind of like, you know, connect it and get into
Hmm.
that conversation.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And you also have a podcast too, right?
I do.
Yeah, you're
Yes.
no, it's
Yep.
podcasters.
Right. Yes. Called Rewiring Health. Yeah. So yeah, I interview a lot of practitioners that help women with eating disorders, and then have a lot of different topics on there in regards to chronic pain and just understanding it better.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a complex conversation, because it's, energetically and physically and mentally, it all kind of,
Mhm.
has these moments of collection. I can imagine that you're tackling something pretty big. You're a physical therapist,
Mhm.
and you're tackling something emotional and psychological,
Mhm.
but realizing I think it's a big deal because what you're identifying and saying to people is the mind body are connected. I'm a
100%.
physical therapist,
Mhm.
but hey, I mean, I talk quite the gut and the brain there. They talk to each other all the time.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we have trouble, and it's like if we don't have those conversations, it's like because, I was saying with the chronic pain and stress transformation, it's like it all comes down to the gut and the brain and people like laugh at us. I'm like, no, no,
Mhm.
facts.
Yeah, and it is so cliche, but knowledge is power. And the more you know about your body and how it works, the less fear inciting it becomes, because you're like, oh, this
It
is just how
totally
my body is working. It's actually doing what it's supposed to. And unless you know that, you don't realize that it's not your enemy. It's actually advocating for you, but we just need to retrain it to do it in a way that is beneficial and adaptive.
right. And learning those signals and the awareness and, just getting it out there for individuals
Mhm.
and for yourself. I mean, I don't know how long was your journey when you were trying to transition to, before you were helping others? How long did it you feel it took you?
Yeah, so I had my eating disorder for probably about 6 to 7 years in the thick of it, where it just consumed my life. I did nothing but, fixate on calories and getting
Yeah.
rid of them in
Yeah,
many
yeah, yeah.
different means. And then I would say my mid-20s is when I felt like I had some kind of uh transition in my mindset. Again, it's never a linear journey. It's always, you have your ups and downs there. But I felt like it didn't completely consume me. And then there was definitely overlap between where I started having chronic pain. And I would say, I think I had the chronic pain. Looking back, I think I had the chronic pain while I was going through the eating disorder, but my eating disorder consumed so much of
Overcame.
my
Like
brain.
it trumped the pain in that
Yeah,
moment. Yeah, yeah.
right. You don't realize how
Well,
much
because
pain
you're
you're
trying
in.
to numb it with like an eating disorder is a form of numbing. People do drugs. It's addict. In some way. Your
Yeah.
body's trying to numb that.
Mhm, right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think when
exactly.
I started healing from the
You're
eating
trying to numb the
disorder,
pain. You probably don't even realize you have the pain.
yeah, yeah. And it's like when you're in a better mindset with the eating disorder, you realize, wow, now I have this like chronic pain that now is
Mhm.
like the new battle I had to tackle. So,
Right.
I mean, I went through years with chronic back pain and used a lot of the strategies I had learned, in PT school, but I was going at it strictly from like a mechanical orthopedic approach.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really the transition where I realized this isn't working and I need to address the nervous system. And that really was what was game changing for me, and recognizing that it's the nervous system that is the root cause of this pain. And unless I address that, there's going to be no relief. And doing that and implementing that was really the game changer for
Well,
me.
I'm so glad you kind of found that. I mean, I found it through yoga therapy. I did a lot
Mhm.
of breath work and yoga therapy in it, and I can totally understand where you're coming from on that end because it's like the power in the breath. It's like, oh my goodness, why did I not know that? And you
Mhm.
just don't know. But now you can help out. You're helping so many other people. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it was like a 10-year journey on my end. I don't know for you,
Mhm.
but it just took forever.
A long
And
time.
then, and
Yeah.
then now I tell people it's just a work in progress
Yeah. That's it. It's just being a
because
little
it
bit
doesn't
better than you
end,
were
right?
yesterday.
You want to be 90 and happy.
Yeah, yeah, you're just, as long as you're moving in the right direction, that's success. So yeah, nothing happens overnight, but yeah, it's just having the right tools and calming your own self from feeling like you're never going to get out of this is really crucial.
What inspired you to kind of get past some of this? I mean, obviously you're helping people now and you're in a great
Mhm.
place and a mom but where was the kind of the turning point for you? Because obviously
Yeah,
you were in a lot of pain, you were struggling. What kind of got you to see the light? I mean, I had some moments of clarity, but it took a while to get there for me. I don't know how it was it for you.
yeah, it was the same. I mean, there were definitely moments where I'm like, what am I doing? But it just consumes you. Like, for anyone who's gone through an eating disorder, you just know that your whole life revolves around that. And there's things that, for someone who's not going through it are very important and maybe would trump those things. But when you're going through an eating disorder, that is literally what you fixate on. So nothing matters unless that eating disorder is kind of taken care of or utilized. So for me, I can remember back in a moment where, like, I remember a moment specifically during my eating disorder where I had, eaten. My type of eating disorder was I would restrict, binge, and then purge through compulsive exercise and also vomiting. So that's what I did. And I remember specifically I had eaten excessively, like bags of chocolate chips, and I had vomited multiple times. I just remember sitting on the floor and just like shaking and being like, what am I doing? Like I just felt scared because my heart was pounding out of my chest. And yeah, I'm in my 20s and I'm like, if I keep doing this, I am not going to have a great future for myself. And it was just like fear. And I'm like, I don't want to feel like this. And not that I knew how to get out of that at that moment, but it was more of like, this is not how I want my future to play out. And I feel like that was kind of like that pivotal moment and at least allowed me to have some little grip at the bottom of that very dark hole to realize that I needed to do something differently. And I would say from that moment on, I just started doing very small steps
Oh,
in a
yeah.
better
Very small.
direction.
Yeah. I call them
Yeah,
mindful A's, but whatever whatever you want to call it.
that's it. Yeah. And it
That's
took
my little
years from
mindful
that.
every day. You got one little step, but
Mhm.
not
And
everybody
celebrating
can.
successes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The little successes every day. All right. So you
Yeah.
had water, you had 2 more cups. Okay.
Yep.
A
Yeah, for
minute.
me, it was like you
I'm happy you
exercised
got
a
that.
minute less than you normally do, or something like that, like very small successes, and then just trying to go easy on myself. But yeah, years of ups and downs of
Of
like,
course.
oh, I'm doing good. And then I would go back. And like I said, it's never linear, but it at least was in the right direction from that point on. So,
And you've come a long way, and where you're aware of your body and how it's triggered, and has its
mhm,
moments, and now you can teach other people about it, which is so
mhm,
important, because it's
absolutely.
like constantly having that conversation. Like you said, you learn the mechanics of PT.
Mhm,
Like I learned the
mhm,
mechanics as an NP and as a nurse, but
mhm.
like there were so many parts that like, what? This isn't
Yeah.
fixing this. And
Yes.
you're understanding this isn't fixing that person or helping them.
Mhm,
So now
exactly.
you had to find another way. You just had to.
Yeah, that's it. And that it's all about, yeah, just adapting and changing things. And it's the same thing when I work with people. Like there's not one, thing that is going to work for everybody. It's about teaching someone to learn about themselves and be their best advocate and know how they can utilize tools to help themselves. And
Mm,
that's really what it's about, is it's just empowering people to figure out how they can help themselves in a way, and structuring and giving community support to do that.
that's awesome. Yeah, I
Mhm.
love it. Was there anyone that inspired you or like you had that helped you through this, or any mentors or anything that kind of got you,
Yeah, so I
or
at the
family,
time,
or
like my
even family or friend support?
yeah, I had friend support. I wouldn't necessarily call it a mentor, but I had when I was going through the thick of my eating disorder, I was very secretive, told nobody. It was very much like I was hiding behind my athletic persona. So everyone thought I was just very dedicated, and I would be praised for how much I would exercise I was doing. So no one really knew the extent of why I was doing that or what was going on internally. So I was very secretive. But I would say towards the end of my eating disorder, I disclosed to a close friend what I was doing, and she was very, very supportive and just really just sat and allowed me to speak my truth. And that was really amazing, because that was the first person I felt like I had as a support system, and very non-judgmental, and just let me know she was there for me. So that really made a big difference as far as helping me kind of step out of that. But I would say other than that, I really didn't have much of a support system at that time. So that really was a struggle.
Oh, wow.
And it's more, I don't blame anyone. That's more my fault. I did not disclose that to anybody at that
Yeah, you
time.
kept it
So
secret.
yeah, exactly. But I would say I got into reading a lot, and I read a lot of books, and I feel like that was very empowering, just to give myself a different perspective. And I continue to do that. I'm always reading
Right,
things
building the
and
knowledge. Oh, I could not agree with you more. I definitely
mhm,
am. I'm in my IFM functional medicine training, and I
mhm,
have about a year left. And yeah, it's like you're always trying to see how you can empower yourself so that you can help
yes,
empower patients and
mhm,
yourself. A combination of. And I agree. I think sometimes reading and understanding that now we can advocate for other people. So
yes. Yeah, that
it's so
personal
important.
growth is just, it's a game changer
Yeah,
for
and it
sure.
helps. It helps us kind of get through the other things. Love
Mhm,
everybody.
exactly. Yes. Yes, yes, exactly.
So would you like to leave a little like way that people can reach you? I mean, what's your website and how can they get to you?
Sure. Yeah. So my website is optimaluhealthandwellness.com. And I'm also on social media under Dr. Kelly Kessler, all one word, in Instagram and TikTok. You can also find me on Facebook / Optimal You Health Wellness.
Oh, awesome. And would you like to leave the audience, those listening and on with one of your mindful tips for the day?
Sure. Yeah. I think the big thing, just first thing that comes to mind is just really be aware of your environment and what you allow around yourself, and setting boundaries is absolutely crucial in that. And so just be aware of what's influencing you. And if it's a negative people, negative energy, or news stories, or anything that's really pulling you down, just be cognizant of when you hear that, how does it make you feel? And then if it's not in the direction that you want to progress, really try to limit your exposure, because that for me was a really big game changer. And I didn't realize how sensitive I was to some of those energies around me. And when I started setting more strong boundaries, that really allowed me to direct my energy in something that was beneficial to myself. So
Beautifully
that,
said. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
And I really appreciate you being on the show today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Um, in the next month, I'm actually going to be launching my course. It's called Eating Disorder Pain Solutions. So,
Oh,
um,
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, so if there's
Let
anyone
me
who's
know.
going through that, I think there's just a lot of value in that. So, very excited
Perfect.
about that.
That's very exciting. Cool.
Mhm.
I definitely want, yeah, especially those that need it. And, or maybe they know of someone, that
Yeah,
can be helped
exactly.
out. I think
Hmm.
it's necessary.
Absolutely.
People are finding addictions in some manner, and eating is one aspect. But it's just, you bring up so much strong points that, and you can help so many individuals out there. So
Thank you.
thank you again for being on the show.
Absolutely. And thank you very much.
And thank you guys for listening. I appreciate your time. And thanks again. And make sure that each and every day you find a mindful way. Have a great day or whatever it is for you.